Indeed, stop the Nazi games, right? We do not want war. Hallo allemaal, daar zijn we dan weer, RHTVLive. Ja, en natuurlijk gaan we het over politiek hebben, zowel binnen als buitenland. En ja, we gaan ons focussen op wat er in het binnenland gebeurt natuurlijk. Ja, we gaan even kijken naar TLDR, die het allemaal in het Engels uitlegt. En ja, we streamen natuurlijk live vanuit het mooie Maastricht. Yeah, we are streaming live from Maastricht, which is in the south of the Netherlands. And of course, we're going to talk politics and geopolitics. But we did our live yesterday, and the formation was collapsed, you know, and it's very, very sad to see what's happening in our country. And we're going to show TLDR with some explanation of what's happening in the Netherlands. They can explain better than I can, and they have more images. So we're going to show TLDR, and ja, we laten dus TLDR zien, en die kunnen het beter uitleggen dan ik dat überhaupt kan. Dus, why have Dutch coalition talks collapsed? Yeah, we're all asking the same question, right? We're going to take a look at this here.
Today, Geert Wilders' plans to become Prime Minister of the Netherlands falters, another explosion is reported in Pakistan, and Nikki Haley loses to no one. From TLDR News, this is your daily briefing for Wednesday the 7th of February 2024. In an interesting twist, Dutch politician Geert Wilders might not become Prime Minister of the Netherlands after all, after a key coalition partner pulled out of the negotiations. The new social contract, the NSC party, led by Piet Omtzigt, quit the talks on Tuesday night due to disagreements over how to tackle the state of the government's finances. The centre-right NSC said it would remain in constructive talks with Wilders' far-right, Party for Freedom, but would not join it in government. The NSC said it was shocked by new information about budget shortfalls, which analysts say would worsen under Wilders' lavish spending plans. The NSC also said it wouldn't want to keep making promises to Dutch people that it knew it couldn't keep. In response, Wilders called the NSC's decision unbelievably disappointing and accused Omtzigt of throwing in the towel while discussions were ongoing. Elections in the Netherlands often lead to months of talks before a coalition government is agreed, and Wilders was relying on Omtzigt's support to secure a right-wing majority government with four parties, including his own. So there now appear to be three possibilities. The initial plan of a right-wing government led by Wilders, a government with a Labour-Green alliance, or another election. The collapse of coalition talks has left Dutch politics at a stalemate, and it's uncertain what the solution will be. This week on Wednesday, Labour's Ronald Plasterk, the former education minister chairing the coalition talks, will meet the leaders of the four parties, including Omtzigt. Alternatively, the outgoing Prime Minister, Mark Rutte's Conservative Party, and the populist Farmer Citizens Movement are other prospective allies. Wilders is a controversial figure in the Netherlands and abroad for his anti-Islam and climate-skeptic policy.
Now, wait a minute. Rutte is a liberal, right? Or actually, his party is, right? He's a dictator, but a liberal dictator. Put it that way. You know, he's not a conservative. He never was. You know, he's spending a lot of money towards Ukraine and towards other places, right? Whilst that money is actually needed in the Netherlands.
But he shocked Europe by winning the highest vote share, 26%, in the November election. He's also caused a storm by suggesting plans for an exit or a Dutch exit from the EU. If Wilders were to successfully take power in the Netherlands, he would become the first far-right leader in an EU country in recent times. Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's government has a junior partner in the far-right Lega party, but mainstream parties in France and Germany notably have distanced themselves from the far-right. Wilders has also threatened to call a snap election to hurry things along, with polls suggesting his PVV party would win a bigger victory now than it did in November.
There's more on the way, but be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to make the daily briefing.
So that's what's happening in the Netherlands, right? We can either choose left, where a lot of voters did not vote for it, you know, or we could have new elections, snap elections, you know. So we are in a stalemate in the Netherlands, and I can see why, right? I really can see why, because if we look at what's happening to our army, right? Our army is like non-existent. We are part of NATO. We are part of UGEN4, right? Which is the European army, right? And we are mostly parts of other operations, you know, and we don't really have an army. And the army that we do have get like LGBTQ stuff to learn, you know. It's really insane. We're going to look at someone that spoke in Parliament, which is a new PVV guy, and he's going to talk about our military, right? Military in the Netherlands. Het is zo triest gesteld in Nederland dat de militairen LGBTQ propaganda moeten gaan leren en zoiets allemaal. Het is echt, oh my god. En dan heb je nog oud-militairen die zeggen van, oh, Rusland gaat ons aanvallen. Of er is een kans, een dreiging dat Rusland ons aan gaat vallen en bla 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 bla. Nou, we gaan even naar deze PVV luisteren. Ik ben het niet geheel met hem eens, maar hij heeft wel goede punten hier en daar. Dus we gaan even hier naar kijken.
Ja, voorzitter, dank u wel. Beste minister, beste staatssecretaris, geachte leden van de Tweede Kamer der Staten-Generaal. De Nederlandse krijgsmacht kent een roemrijke historie die zich uitstrekt over eeuwen. Zonder de bereidheid zou Nederland lang geleden al hebben opgehouden te bestaan. Voorzitter, wie vandaag lacherig doet over de wapenfeiten van onze krijgsmacht, kent de geschiedenis niet. Want was het niet onze marine die in 1688 de grootste armada uit haar tijd ter zee bracht, waardoor wij onze stadhouder op de Engelse troon konden plaatsen? En was het niet Napoleon zelf die in zijn memoires schreef dat hij de slag bij Waterloo gewonnen zou hebben als onze soldaten van de koninklijke landmacht niet zo dapper tegenover de Franse overmacht bij Quatre-Bras hadden stand gehouden? En was het niet onze luchtmacht die in de meidagen van 1940 dusdanig veel Duitse vliegtuigen vernietigde, waardoor de Duitse invasie van Engeland gedoemd was te mislukken? Voorzitter, het past misschien niet zo bij onze nuchtere volksaard om het te zeggen, maar ik denk dat de geschiedenis er vandaag de dag heel anders uit had gezien zonder de heldendaden van de mannen en vrouwen van de Nederlandse krijgsmacht.
So he's basically questioning the people listening. Wasn't it the Netherlands that helped defeat Napoleon, right? And other stuff. And very interesting what he says here.
Wij mogen met recht trots op hen zijn. En voorzitter, die trots op de Nederlandse krijgsmacht is bij de globalistische elite ver te zoeken. Want zij willen geen Nederlands leger meer zien, zij willen een Europees leger. Deze minister van Defensie droomt ervan en heeft vorig jaar weer een groot deel van onze landmacht alvast onder Duits bevel gesteld. Een absolute schande. En voorzitter, wie vindt het gek dat met zulke bestuurders
So this woman here, Ollongren, is our Minister of Defense, right? And she's, from D66, she's left-leaning, a woke person and stuff like that. So, it really is amazing. She never ever saw a rifle before, never fired a shot before, right? And she's a Minister of Defense. Even though, this is from Rutte 4, which actually is demissionary. They're not allowed to have other wars and stuff like that, They have to follow the agenda of Rutte 4, right? But we're waging war in the Red Sea, huh? Yep. Really, really sad to see.
eer en trots van onze militairen vandaag de dag zo door het slijk worden gehaald. Want zo heeft de partijgenoot van deze minister van Defensie ervoor gezorgd dat de rol van het Van Heut-regiment tijdens de nationale Indië-herdenking compleet gemarginaliseerd is. Afgelopen jaar was het Van Heuts vaandel zelfs niet meer welkom op de herdenking. Een vaandel dat door de media al als omstreden wordt beschreven. En ook onze zeehelden van weleer ontkomen niet aan die politiek correcte zelfhaat die dit land teistert. Want in Rotterdam werd het standbeeld van Piet Hein beklad. Amsterdam noemt onze Michiel de Ruiter een halve slavenhandelaar. En in Eindhoven is de naam van Witte de Wit compleet uit het straatbeeld verdwenen.
So he's talking about the famous people that won battles at sea, Michiel de Ruiter and those other two he mentioned, right? And all those names are like street names, and they're basically gone from the Netherlands. Now it's Allah Akbar Street, and it's really, really sad to see what's happening.
De voorzitter, dat deze zeehelden, die alle drie stierven in zeeslagen om het vaderland te beschermen, nu zo door de modder worden gehaald, dat is echt schandalig. En voorzitter, dan vragen zij zich af waarom Defensie vandaag de dag een personeelstekort heeft. Wie wil nog dienen als je ziet hoe er met jouw voorgangers wordt omgegaan? Want voorzitter, vandaag wordt de eer en glorie van onze oorlogshelden in het verleden bezoedeld. En morgen staat de oorlogshelden van vandaag zo'nzelfde lot te wachten.
So he's talking about the war heroes from yesteryear, they're thrown away, and the heroes of today, they're also going to be thrown away, right? You're just a pawn in the chess game.
Voorzitter, wie dan nog wel bij Defensie komt te werken, wordt doodgegooid met al die linksliberale gekte die de organisatie al bijna compleet in zijn greep heeft. Zo stelde een vrouwelijke generaal recentelijk dat zij strijdt tegen het beeld van stoere mannen en vrouwen bij Defensie.
So a woman general says we don't need any tough people at defense. It's like, what are you looking for? These weird woke people, right, with purple and green hair and nose rings and tattoos everywhere, man. Oh my God. Those people are supposed to defend our country. Oh my God. And the thing is, right, we have ceremonies and stuff like that, to remember what happened in history. Now, one of these battalions, they have their own flag, and they're not allowed to, show the flag anymore. They have to have a rainbow flag. It's like, oh my God, man. Oh my God. What the hell happened to my country? I'm living in the twilight zone. Dit is toch gewoon triest, mensen. Dat een van de bataljon die een veldslag heeft gedaan, zijn vlag niet kan laten zien. Nee, er moet een regenboogvlag zijn. Want we moeten allemaal inclusief zijn. Een van de paarsharig mens die moet mij gaan beschermen. Hou op, man. Echt. Oh my God, really.
Gelukkig maar, voorzitter, dat onze generaal zich hiermee bezighoudt, want inderdaad, je moet er niet aan denken, stoere mannen en vrouwen bij Defensie. Voorzitter, daar houdt de gekkigheid niet op. Want terwijl het van Heutsvaandel dus wordt verstopt, wordt wel de regenboogvlag gehezen, moeten onze militairen op diversiteitscursus en worden ze voorgelezen door drag queens. En waar je vroeger officier kon worden op ons...
So our military, right, get like drag queens and stuff like that, and they're reading books. Drag queen is reading books to people in the military. It's like, oh my God, man. Oh my God. These people are supposed to defend my country. Echt waar? Militairen die naar een drag queen luisteren. Ja, en nou is Pim anaal gepakt en weet ik wat allemaal. Jongen, wat heb je daar nou weer aan? Je moet het land beschermen. You have to protect the country. Not, get some stupid information from some drag queen. Echt, jongen, wat een land is dit geworden, man.
Ons eigen vliegdekschip, de Karel Doorman, kan je nu officier worden op de afdeling diversiteit en inclusie. De linkse mars door de instituties heeft duidelijk ook Defensie bereikt. En terwijl dit de staat is van ons leger, waarschuwen steeds meer hoge militairen voor een oorlog met Rusland. Zij spreken zelfs dat Nederland een oorlogseconomie zou moeten worden. En voorzitter, laat er geen misverstand over bestaan dat wij als PVV vinden dat onze Nederlandse krijgsmacht op alle scenario's moet zijn voorbereid. Dus ook op een eventuele dreiging uit het oosten. Daarom nemen wij onze rol binnen de NAVO ook serieus en steunen wij de missies aan de oostflank van de bondgenootschap.
So he's talking about basically Russia, attacking Ukraine, and military people are afraid that Russia will go further in Europe, right, and maybe attack the Netherlands. Now, with these people, with these, purple-haired people and rainbow-colored people, it's like, oh my God, man, these people are supposed to defend us? Really? Ja, mensen, je kan beter zelf gaan trainen. Ren een paar rondjes elke dag. En doe wat aan je fysieke toestand. En ja, ben je in ieder geval een beetje gezond. En dan kun je jezelf gaan weren. Ja. Ga op karateles. Doe judo of weet ik wat. Ja, dus... maar vertrouw niet op de regering dat ze met een paarsharig mens jou gaat beschermen.
Maar voorzitter, als deze dreiging echt zo realistisch is, waarom hebben deze bewindspersonen Defensie dan de afgelopen jaren zo verzwakt door grote hoeveelheden munitie en materieel cadeau te doen aan het buitenland?
So basically, he's asking the question, if there is a threat that Russia will invade Europe, why are we giving so much ammunition and stuff to Ukraine? You know, we got to defend ourselves, right?
De militaire steun aan Oekraïne heeft volgens dit kabinet zelf een langdurig negatief effect op de inzetbaarheid van onze krijgsmacht. Dus als in reactie op de voortdurende provocaties van de Nederlandse regering aan de Russische Federatie er onverwachts een aanval komt, dan zitten wij gigantisch in de problemen.
So he's basically saying, if there is an attack from Russia, we are in deep, deep trouble, right? Because our military is not really, you know, learning self-defense. They're learning stuff from some transgender someone. You know, it's, oh my God, man. A drag queen, really? Really? Dat is toch echt triest. Ja? Dat eenmaal een paarsharig mens mee moet gaan beschermen. Hou op, man. Ja, het is echt... ja.
Bestuurders spelen Russische roulette met onze nationale veiligheid. En voorzitter, terwijl onze generaal zich dus blind staat.
So he's basically saying that the people in power are playing Russian roulette with our safety, right? Inclusiviteit. Oh, ja, jij bent ook inclusief, hè? Kom erbij, het leger. Nee. We hebben vanavond drag queen avond. Hè? Oh ja. Onvoorstelbaar, man.
Op het gevaar uit Rusland waarschuwen Franse generaals juist weer voor een burgeroorlog in eigen land. Zij
So you're saying that the French military is warning for a civilian war, right?
Dat de Franse regering dankzij de eindeloze massa-immigratie de controle over grote delen van Frankrijk al compleet verloren is. En dat als deze gebieden weer onder Frans gezag willen vallen, dit enkel en alleen kan door middel van militair optreden.
So because of mass migration, a lot of territories in France are not controlled by the French anymore, you know? You have these enclaves and stuff like that. And, you know, the military over there in France is saying, if we want the control back, we have to put in the military, right?
En terwijl daar die dreiging dus serieus wordt besproken, ontbreekt zo'n scenario hier in alle dreigingsbeelden van Defensie. Sterker nog, deze minister van Defensie.
So in every threat analysis of defense here in the Netherlands, they don't talk about civilian war or, you know, a takeover from Russia or any of that. You know, nothing is on table.
Stuurt niet onze militairen naar de grens om die illegale massa-immigratie een halt toe te roepen. Nee, zij laten onze militairen op de kazernes letterlijk de bedjes opmaken voor de eindeloze stroom aan gelukzoekers. Konden onze dakloze veteranen maar op dezelfde...
So our military is making beds for, you know, the refugees coming to the Netherlands. And our veterans, right, are on the streets. Well, not some of them, right? And they don't get bed and breakfast and stuff like that. No. But when you come from far away, right, you get a hotel, and the Dutch people are even paying for a hotel. Wij betalen die vluchtelingen in Ter Apel allemaal aan een hotel. Ja. En dan maar afvragen hoe het kan dat alles duurder wordt. Nou, ten eerste heb je te maken met inflatie. Het geld heeft geen monetaire waarde. Ja, dus daar kun je nieuw geld bij creëren. Ja, inflatie. Daarbij heb je ook nog een regering die van een half privaat bank leent. De ECB, Europese Centrale Bank. En die krijgen dus dan geld van de bank. Dat is een lening. Die lening moeten wij dan terug gaan betalen. Dat is de staatsschuld. Ja? Dus als je die fundamenten niet begrijpt, dan is het toch wel heel erg triest gesteld met Nederland. Maar goed, we zien het leger, die is zo woke als wat. Paarsharige mensen en zoiets die nog niet eens een machinegeweer hebben aangeraakt. Die moeten ons gaan beschermen.
De gastvrijheid rekenen van de minister, maar nee, daarvoor moeten zij bij het leger des Heils zijn. Voorzitter, ik rond af. De visie van de PVV op defensie is helder. De Nederlandse krijgsmacht is het zwaard en het schild van het Nederlandse volk. Voor haar vrijheid, haar veiligheid, haar bestaansrecht streden generaties militairen in het verleden, strijden generaties militairen vandaag de dag en zullen ook in de toekomst weer generaties militairen strijden. Wij danken al onze soldaten die op dit moment, waar ook ter wereld, hun plicht vervullen en wij wensen hun heel veel succes en voorspoed bij hun belangrijke werk. Voorzitter, ik dank u wel.
So that's the state of our army, right? It is so sad to see that, we basically have no army. Yeah, and we're supposed to defend ourselves. Oh my God. Ja, mensen, wat moet je hiervan denken? Die zouden normaal zeggen dat ze allerlei scenario's op tafel leggen. Hè? Van kijk, dit kan, dit kan, dit kan, dit kan. Maar nee. Vanavond is drag queen avond hoor. Ja. We worden voorgelezen door een drag queen. Ja. Oh my god man. Ja, nou ja, goed. So that's the Dutch news, right? We also have Tucker Carlson in Russia, and he's going to explain why he's in Russia and why he's going to interview Putin. We're in Russia.
We're in Moscow tonight. We're here to interview the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. We'll be doing that soon. There are risks to conducting an interview like this, obviously, so we've thought about it carefully over many months. Here's why we're doing it. First, because it's our job. We're in journalism. Our duty is to inform people. 2 years into a war that's reshaping the entire world, most Americans are not informed. They have no real idea what's happening in this region, here in Russia or 600 miles away in Ukraine. But they should know. They're paying for much of it in ways they might not fully yet perceive. The war in Ukraine is a human disaster. It's left hundreds of thousands of people dead, an entire generation of young Ukrainians, and it's depopulated the largest country in Europe. But the long-term effects are even more profound. This war has utterly reshaped the global military and trade alliances, and the sanctions that followed have as well. And in total, they have upended the world economy. The post-World War II economic order, the system that guaranteed prosperity in the West for more than 80 years, is coming apart very fast, and along with it, the dominance of the US dollar. These are not small changes. They are history-altering developments. They will define the lives of our grandchildren. Most of the world understands this perfectly well. They can see it. Ask anyone in Asia or the Middle East what the future looks like. And yet the populations of the English-speaking countries seem mostly unaware. They think that as nothing has really changed. And they think that because no one has told them the truth. Their media outlets are corrupt. They lie to their readers and viewers. And they do that mostly by omission. For example, since the day the war in Ukraine began, American media outlets have spoken to scores of people from Ukraine, and they have done scores of interviews with Ukrainian President Zelensky. We ourselves have put in a request for an interview with Zelensky, and we hope he accepts. But the interviews he's already done in the United States are not traditional interviews. They are fawning pep sessions specifically designed to amplify Zelensky's demand that the U.S. enter more deeply into a war in Eastern Europe and pay for it. That is not journalism. It is government propaganda. Propaganda of the ugliest kind, the kind that kills people. At the same time, our politicians and media outlets have been doing this, promoting a foreign leader like he's a new consumer brand. Not a single Western journalist has bothered to interview the president of the other country involved in this conflict, Vladimir Putin. Most Americans have no idea why Putin invaded Ukraine or what his goals are now. They've never heard his voice. That's wrong. Americans have a right to know all they can about a war they're implicated in, and we have the right to tell them about it because we are Americans too. Freedom of speech is our birthright. We were born with the right to say what we believe. That right cannot be taken away no matter who is in the White House. But they're trying anyway. Almost 3 years ago, the Biden administration illegally spied on our text messages and then leaked the contents to their servants in the news media. They did this in order to stop a Putin interview that we were planning. Last month, we're pretty certain they did exactly the same thing once again. But this time, we came to Moscow anyway. We are not here because we love Vladimir Putin. We are here because we love the United States, and we want it to remain prosperous and free. We paid for this trip ourselves. We took no money from any government or group, nor are we charging people to see the interview. It is not behind a paywall. Anyone can watch the entire thing, shot live to tape and unedited, on our website, tuckercarlson.com. Elon Musk, to his great credit, has promised not to suppress or block this interview once we post it on his platform, X, and we're grateful for that. Western governments, by contrast, will certainly do their best to censor this video on other less principled platforms because that's what they do. They are afraid of information they can't control. But you have no reason to be afraid of it. We are not encouraging you to agree with what Putin may say in this interview, but we are urging you to watch it. You should know as much as you can. And then, like a free citizen and not a slave, you can decide for yourself. Thanks.
Well, on RHTVLive, we talked a lot about Ukraine, and I'm willing to explain again. You see, in 2014, you had a coup, right? A small faction of Ukrainians took over the parliament and kicked out a lot of people, right? You had Russian-leaning politicians in the Rada, which is the parliament there. And these Ukrainian nationalists kicked out these Russian-speaking people, right? There was a very famous clip of a politician thrown in the trash. And that is a Russian-speaking Ukrainian, right? So we're going to show you some images there. Here you have Ukrainian politician thrown in trash, you see? So this Ukrainian guy was more Russian-leaning than those nationalists in the Rada, in Parliament, right? So we're going to take a look at this here. Go back.
He is a deputy and in Parliament, as you say, a part of a party that is seen to be pro-Russian. But in particular, the emotions are running high because Parliament was set to vote on a vetting law, an anti-corruption, it's called lustration law, which people hope will be able to cleanse the government of corrupt politicians, of holdovers from President Viktor Yanukovych's administration and other politicians. And this crowd felt that Mr. Zhuravsky.
So every Russian-speaking Ukrainian, which is a lot, right? They were attacked by people on the streets. Even killed on the streets. In Odessa, there was a very big building set on fire, right, by these radicals. They said, hey, we got Russian-speaking Ukrainians here. Now we're going to set the building on fire. So this is what's happening in Ukraine. It's become radicalized. They want an ethnic cleansing of Russian-speaking Ukrainians. So, what does Ukraine do? The Donbass, the east of Ukraine. What do they do? Well, they say, we don't want to be part of the regime. And they say, we are autonomous states, right? We don't need to listen to Kiev anymore. We are autonomous states. So we have Donetsk and Luhansk and other regions that say we don't want to listen to Kiev anymore. And Kiev said, you have to listen to us, right? So basically, they said no, and Kiev said, okay, we're going to attack you. We are going to take back the territories you claim are autonomous, right? So, they attack the east of Ukraine. From 2014 to 2021, kind of like that, right? And this was before the Russian intervention. You even had a plane flying over Ukraine, MH17, which killed a lot of Dutch people, 300 plus. And this is why the Netherlands is sanctioning Russia. They're saying the people fighting back in the east of Ukraine are Russian separatists. So no, they're not. They're Ukrainians fighting against their government. Yeah? And those two regions, autonomous regions, they asked Russia for help. They said, we cannot handle this anymore. We're under fire for so many years. We need help. So Russia helps these autonomous regions, right? But we, over in Europe, we see this as an annexation. I kind of left out Crimea. Crimea had a referendum to join Russia, right? And after the referendum, this was after the coup, right? 2014 coup. Then you had a referendum in Crimea. In the east of Ukraine also wanted to do a referendum. But as I've said before, Kiev said, we're going to attack you. So they had no referendum. And with Russia helping, Russia had a referendum in the eastern regions. And lots of regions want to be part of Russia. And that is the big problem. Ukraine is a country divided in two. You have the East and the West, right? During the Second World War, there were Nazis in Ukraine and communists. They were in the East, right? But Nazis were in the West. This is what's happening. Ja, mensen, ik heb het net in Engels uitgelegd. Je krijgt dus te maken met een radicale groep mensen, die mensen uit het parlement kicken. Russisch sprekende Oekraïners, die worden in elkaar gemapt op straat en zelfs doodgeslagen en zoiets. In Odessa is een flat in de fik gestoken door radicale Bandera-aanhangers en zoiets. Ja, dit gebeurt. En wij steunen die radicale mensen. We hebben het nog niet eens gehad over de Nord Stream pijpleiding. Want volgens Seymour Hersh, een Amerikaanse journalist, die zegt dat Amerika die pijpleiding heeft opgeblazen. Nou, er zijn vragen over geweest. Amerika zegt, nou, dat was Oekraïne die dat gedaan heeft. Maar als dat waar is, dat Oekraïne dat gedaan heeft, dan steunen wij dus een land die het Europese infrastructuur kapot heeft gemaakt. Waarom zou Rusland dat gaan doen? Rusland kan gewoon aan de gasknop dichtdraaien zo. Ja, echt waar, man. Maar ja, goed, dit is de situatie. Het is echt heel triest. So we didn't even talk about the pipeline, right? In the Baltic Sea, the Nord Stream pipeline. Now, there was an agreement between Germany and Russia, right, to make a pipeline for energy and gas, and you know. So they made a pipeline. Now, why would Russia blow up their own pipeline? You know, they can turn off the gas. It's easy as that. Now, Seymour Hersh had said, you know, America did this. They blew up the pipeline. But America says Ukraine did it. But if that's the case, then we are supporting a country that is basically blowing up European infrastructure, right? And we are giving loads of money to these Ukrainian guys. You know, it's really amazing, really is amazing. And if we look at Ukraine, we see that it's rumbling within Ukraine, right? We see Zelensky and Zaluzhny, which is the general of Ukraine, having a fight, right? Zelensky says, "You're fired," to Zaluzhny, the top general. And the top general says, "No, I'm not. I'm not fired. There's no one here to replace me." So we're going to take a look at that. The Duran reports on it, and it's quite accurate news. So we're going to take a look at the Duran. A few minutes. So Zelensky wants a reset, right? He wants new people in parliament. He wants new people in the military and stuff like that. And the front is collapsing. You know, the Ukrainian front. So we're going to take a look at this here.
The palace intrigue continues. Zelensky is now saying that, well, he'll eventually fire Zaluzhny. He keeps on saying that he'll eventually fire Zaluzhny. But he is also saying that he's going to do a general reset in the military, in the government, a real big shakeup in Kiev. Logically, this is where all of this was going to lead to, because you can't get rid of Zaluzhny, who had a lot of support in the military and in the the administration in Kiev without getting rid of everybody who supported him. And if you are going to put a person in like Budanov, you are going to have to clear the deck of any Zaluzhny loyalists. I mean, this is obvious. So this is Zelensky's latest statement with regards to what he's planning to do in his administration. If you are investing in Project Ukraine, if you're the United States or the European Union, this obviously is not a good sign of what's going on with your proxy war against Russia. And of course, we also have news of a collapsing front in Avdiivka, both from Russian and Ukrainian media sources. They are saying that the Russian military is within the city limits of Avdiivka, and the Ukraine military is indeed collapsing and will either have to surrender, face annihilation, or have to pull out of Avdiivka. Another bad sign for the Zelensky regime with regards to its NATO sponsors. Anyway, what is the situation in Ukraine?
Well, I think the first thing to say is that President Zelensky's position is looking more precarious by the day. Now, we started last week on Monday with this meeting between Zelensky and Zaluzhny, in which Zelensky basically said, I want you to leave, and asked for Zaluzhny's resignation, and Zaluzhny refused to resign, which is astonishing. I mean, again, we should not overlook how bizarre it is when the commander-in-chief can't get a subordinate to accept a resignation request, despite the fact that there's clearly no trust between the commander-in-chief and this subordinate in the middle of a war. It's astonishing. It's an act of defiance bordering on rebellion. But anyway, Zaluzhny said, I'm not going. If you want to sack me, just go ahead and try. So Zelensky has then spent the rest of the week trying to find ways to do it. We were told by CNN last week he was going to do it on Friday. Then we were hearing that it might happen on Saturday. Today is Monday, and it hasn't as of yet happened. Maybe at some point it will, who knows? But, it hasn't yet happened. In the meantime, both men have been going to the media. Zaluzhny's given a big, written an op-ed somewhere. I don't remember where. I think it might even have been CNN, actually, in which, he spoke again about, he likes to sort of give these philosophical, intellectual discussions about the war, which have no relevance to the real situation on the ground that we will come to. But talked about, we need to upgrade our military operations to an entirely new technological level, all that kind of stuff.
So what is the situation on the ground, right? A lot of people don't know where Avdiivka is, right? It's near Donetsk city. I'm going to show you that. Here we have Avdiivka, right? And here we have Donetsk. Now, what's happening on the front lines, right? Basically, you have two opposing forces, right? Ukraine coming from the west part and Russia from the east. And Russia always gains some territory and then draws back, right? Now, why do they do this? Well, when you gain territory, the territory is yours. You can make ditches and, a hard terrain for the military, right? And then you draw back to your defensive position, right? So when the military comes, they need to get over all these obstacles and stuff like that. And from a defensive line, you can shoot very easily, right? This is the tactic that Russia uses. And this is why they haven't taken over Kiev. They're still in the east of Ukraine, right? And the battlefield is very fluent, right? It's like an ocean. There is no hard line. So that's happening. And yeah, it's very, very sad to see because it's costing many, many lives, right? Many, many lives. So when you do that tactic, then the other army needs to go over these obstacles, and you can just fly over, drop some bombs. That's what Russia's been doing all the time. Dus wat er dus gebeurt, Rusland die neemt een terrein over en dan trekken zij zich terug. Dan maken ze obstakels op dat terrein en dan laten ze gewoon vanaf een defensieve lijn gaan ze dan staan wachten eigenlijk. En dan laten ze die Oekraïners komen. Nou, dat zijn schietschijven. Snap je? Dat zijn schietschijven. En dat is waarom er ook geen progressie is in de Oekraïne-oorlog. Ja? Dus, dat is allemaal gaande, mensen. Ja, en zeer, zeer triest dat het gebeurt. Je moet je voorstellen, Oekraïne, dat is dus Nederland, België, Luxemburg, helemaal tot aan Hongarije is een beetje. En nog een stuk Polen. Dat is dus Oekraïne. Dus ja, er werd ook een vergelijking gemaakt door, hoe heet ze, die van de BBB, Keizer, Mona Keizer, die had het over Oekraïners, die dus eigenlijk op vakantie gaan in hun eigen land. Ja. Er is dus een bepaalde ski-reservaat in het westen van Oekraïne, waar Oekraïners gewoon aan skiën zijn en zoiets. Niks aan de hand, nee. En dan zegt ze dus, dat is dezelfde afstand als van Nederland uit naar Zwitserland toe, naar de Alpen, in Zwitserland. En dan moeten wij als Nederland, zo'n klein landje, moeten we dan zoveel mensen aannemen. Dat kan toch niet waar zijn? Dan heb ik nog een andere filmpje. We laten eerst Mona Keizer zien. Die zegt, we kunnen niet iedereen huisvesten en zoiets. So we have a Dutch politician, Mona Keizer, who actually came from the CDA and is now in the BBB, one of the coalition partners. Well, not anymore, but the coalition basically fell. Anyway, we're going to show Mona Keizer, who is basically saying, right, the distance between the Netherlands and Switzerland is basically the same distance that Ukrainians are having, right? There's a ski reservation where these Ukrainians are skiing, and they're going on vacation in their own country whilst there is a war in the country. That's the whole problem. And Mona Keizer is going to talk about that. Stuur Oekraïners terug naar hun eigen land.
Hoe Nederlanders zo gastvrij waren in februari 2022. In mijn ogen liet het zien dat Nederlanders plek willen maken voor mensen uit de regio in tijden van nood. In de maanden hierna heeft de overheid snel gehandeld en deze mensen tijdelijk een warm thuis geboden. Maar dat is inmiddels 2 jaar geleden. En hoe graag we het ook anders hadden gezien, de oorlog in Oekraïne duurt nog steeds voort. De fase waarin de Russen optrekken naar Kiev of Oekraïners grote delen grondgebied terugveroveren, lijken in ieder geval voorbij. We komen dus, lijkt het in een soort, ja, het is akelig om het zo maar niet te zeggen, voorzitter, want het gaat over oorlog, maar in een status quo. En volgens mij moet het beleid in Nederland daar op worden afgestemd. Al was het maar alleen omdat het voor te stellen is dat op andere plekken op het Europees continent oorlogen zouden kunnen uitbreken of gewapende conflicten. En hoe gaan we dan om met de ontheemden die daar vandaan komen? En voorzitter, het gaat om een
So basically, she's saying that the war can spread towards other countries. And what about those refugees, right? Do we need to take in those refugees too? Really?
drietal zaken. Als eerste moeten we beseffen dat veel Oekraïners hier voor de lange termijn zijn. En dat betekent ook eerlijk zijn over de situatie van de Oekraïners in Nederland. Velen van hen hebben banen gevonden. Dat en het feit dat veel Oekraïners inmiddels Nederlands willen leren is bewonderenswaardig. Maar dat betekent ook dat ze een inkomen hebben waarmee ze op hun eigen benen kunnen staan. En ze dus voor net als andere Nederlanders met inkomen uit werk moeten betalen voor wonen en zorg. En toch weten we, dat lezen we geregeld, en er zijn ook bestuurders die zich bij mij melden. Werkende Oekraïners krijgen in Nederland gratis wonen en zorg. En hebben dan op een gegeven moment ook mogelijk recht op toeslagen. Voorzitter, ik heb mij zelfs laten vertellen, maar ik hoor graag van de staatssecretaris of hij dit herkent, dat arbeidsmigranten uit de Oekraïne zich komen melden in de gemeentelijke opvanglocaties, omdat ze...
Hebben we dat goed gehoord? We krijgen alles gratis. Hier.
termijn zijn. En dat betekent ook eerlijk zijn over de situatie van de Oekraïners in Nederland. Velen van hen hebben banen gevonden. Dat en het...
So many Ukrainians came to the Netherlands and found jobs and this and that, but they don't have to pay in. The Dutch people do, right? We have to pay taxes and we have to pay this, we have to pay that, blah, blah, blah. But the Ukrainians can come here, work here and don't pay anything, right, for the Dutch population.
Het feit dat veel Oekraïners inmiddels Nederlands willen leren is bewonderenswaardig. Maar dat betekent ook dat ze een inkomen hebben waarmee ze op hun eigen benen kunnen staan. En ze dus voor net als andere Nederlanders met inkomen uit werk moeten betalen voor wonen en zorg. En toch weten we, dat lezen we geregeld, en er zijn ook bestuurders die zich bij mij melden. Werkende Oekraïners krijgen in Nederland gratis wonen en zorg. En hebben dan op een gegeven moment ook mogelijk recht op toeslagen.
Gratis wonen en zorg. Gratis. Ik moet er verdomme voor betalen, man. Dat is niet normaal. Ja, ik moet ook de eindjes aan elkaar vastknopen en zo. Maar ja, die Oekraïners die komen hier naartoe, die kunnen werken, geld verdienen en niks inleveren. Nou, het is echt triest. Echt heel triest. En zo gaat het al 2 jaar lang. Hè. En dan hebben we het niet eens over de Oekraïners. Weet je nog, die mensen in Syrië. Ja, die zouden even hier naartoe komen, even komen werken en zoiets. Nou, dat is dus niet zo gegaan. En Assad is nog steeds aan de macht, ongeacht dat wij proxies hebben gesteund om Assad omver te werpen. Nou, die Syriërs zitten hier nog. Die kunnen toch ook terug naar huis? Ja, sorry, maar eigen volk eerst, toch? Vecht voor het land waar je geboren bent of sterf in een land dat je niet meer kent. Ja, maar ja, goed. Dat begrip, dat is voor velen te moeilijk om te snappen. Ja. Dus, kijk wat we nog kunnen laten zien. Er valt zoveel te vertellen. We hebben nog niet eens over het oosten gehad. Hè? Ja, oké, Oekraïne is in het oosten. Maar nog niet eens over Korea of de gekte daar, China. Ja, het is echt, wat een wereld leven, kind. Wat een wereld. We gaan even naar Al Jazeera kijken. Ja. En kijken wat zij te melden hebben. We Are Change heeft ook weer een filmpje. We gaan even hier naar kijken.
Wow! That, of course, was shot in very beautiful, poop-filled San Francisco, where there's a police car outside of the frickin' store, and it still doesn't stop looters and thieves. Holy frickin' cow. Wow! Come back. Beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Luke Radowski here of wearechange.org, and there's a lot of absolutely wild and absurd news out there. Lots of disinformation, lots of propaganda that people are just eating up in record numbers. All of this as, of course, there are now calls to ban Tucker Carlson from Europe and to sanction him for daring to do an interview that, of course, everyone is waiting to be released very soon. What are the grander implications here? As, of course, we have a regime that is looting and stealing from you more than ever. Well, we're going to be talking about that, plus all the latest news here in this independent media broadcast. If you like the shirt that I'm wearing, you can get it on thebestpoliticalshirts.com. And the clip that we played in the beginning of this broadcast was once again shared by @ClownWorld, highlighting how 49 iPhones were stolen from an Apple store in the Bay Area with literal police officers outside. Yes, this is the level of brazenness. This is the level of absurdity that people have to deal with every single day. As of course, it's not just the corporate chains. It's also small mom and pop businesses that are routinely targeted, that are robbed, as police officers literally sit on their hands and decide to do nothing about it. And it's not just that they can't do anything about it, they're forbidden to do anything about it from, of course, paid off district attorneys that work for one particular billionaire that we can't even mention here on this particular broadcast. Now,
I will mention him. George Soros. Right? George Soros. I don't care, ban me, whatever. George Soros is pulling the strings in the U.S., putting in public officials and stuff like that in key positions. It's very, very sad to see what's happening in the U.S. Het is toch ongelooflijk. Zoiets kan ook in Nederland gebeuren, mensen. Dit kan ook in Nederland gebeuren. Ik zeg niet dat het alleen daar gebeurt. Nee, dit kan ook hier gebeuren. De optie is er. So, I was explaining, right? What can happen there can also happen here. We are in a power vacuum and we don't have a cabinet. Well, we have a demissionary cabinet, but that doesn't mean much. Basically, they're fired until there's a new cabinet. But as we've seen before, in the beginning of the broadcast, we saw that the coalition has fallen apart, right? So maybe we'll get a left-leaning government, which no one wants in the Netherlands. I certainly don't, because it's more EU, more purple-haired people, and stuff like that. I don't want that. I'm proud of my country. Ja. Ik ben trots op Nederland en ik wil niet dat Nederland nog een keer verkracht wordt door allerlei ongekozen ambtenaren met hun ideologische baanideeën, waardoor ze Nederland helemaal in de afgrond laten gaan. So, hello Trippin Falls, hello Rogue. Good to see you guys. So the Netherlands is really declining. We have, rainbow flags in our army, and it's like, oh my God, man, really, really. Yep, this is happening, people. And we just saw images, San Francisco, the Bay Area over there. The store being robbed and police doing nothing. Police, you are paid to protect, right? That is your job. That is your job to do. That is why you are a police officer. You need to protect people, right? You need to know your job. And yeah, a lot of police officers don't really care. And as long as they get their paycheck, right? It's destabilizing the US. It's also destabilizing the Netherlands, right? So we're all in this together. I don't care what color you are. I don't care what religion you have. You have to be aware that there is a shadowy organization that is pulling the strings. The WEF and the Bilderberg Group, of course, and other lobby groups like the Council on Foreign Relations, Trilateral Commission. These people are pulling the strings. And it's like the Wizard of Oz, right? Don't look behind the curtain. Don't look behind the curtain. Wizard of Oz. Don't look behind the curtain. There we have it. So you have one guy pulling the strings, saying he's, a magician, a very powerful magician, and this is why Dorothy needs to do all these stuff, So the powerful Wizard of Oz. We're going to take a look at this here.
Please, sir, we've done what you told us. We brought you the broomstick of the Wicked Witch of the West. We melted her.
Oh, you liquidated her, eh? Very resourceful.
Yes, sir. So we'd like you to keep your promise to us, if you please, sir.
Not so fast. Not so fast. I'll have to give the matter a little thought. Go away and come back tomorrow.
Tomorrow? Oh, but I want to go home now.
You've had plenty of time already.
Yeah. Do not arouse the wrath of the great and powerful Oz. I said come back tomorrow.
If you were really great and powerful, you'd keep your promises.
Do you presume to criticize the great Oz? You ungrateful creatures think yourselves lucky that I'm giving you audience tomorrow instead of 20 years from now.
Oh.
The great Oz has spoken.
Oh.
Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. The great Oz has spoken.
Who are you?
Oh, I am the great and powerful Wizard of Oz.
You are? I don't believe you.
No, I'm afraid it's true. There's no other wizard except me. You humbug! Yes, it's exactly so. I'm a humbug.
Oh, you're a very bad man.
You're a very bad man. Yeah, George Soros, very bad man, right? Zbigniew Brzezinski, very bad man. Kissinger, very bad man. Joe Biden, very bad man. Justin Trudeau, very bad man. You are bad. And you need to get out of office, right? And I'm talking to the globalists. We can do this peacefully, which is our course, right? The people involved in this movement, we can do this peacefully or violently. And we do not want violence. That's the last thing we want, right? We want to do this peacefully. So we know about your plans, right? There are people that leak a lot of stuff, like Wesley Clark, who said, we're going to attack 7 countries in 5 years. What have these countries done? Who the heck knows? Who the heck cares? We're going to attack these countries.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me and he said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They've just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we've got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense's office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya."
Iraq, Syria, Lebanon. Lebanon is also, failed state, basically. So that's correct.
Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off.
Somalia, Sudan. Well, there's a civil war in Sudan, right? We have the army against the paramilitary, right? And Somalia is also, that's the only country that's stable on the list, right? But what are they going to finish off with?
Iran,
right? Iran is also a target on their list. Now, I'm not for the Ayatollah, right? I don't like these religious people in power, but leave the Iranians alone. Leave them alone, right? This is what the people in the Middle East want. They don't want intervention from another country. You see, Syria invited Iran, right, to take out the proxies that we provided to overthrow Assad, right? Now, Israel and Iran are arch enemies. So Israel, who took over the Golan Heights, thanks to Donald Trump, he said, the Golan Heights are yours, even though it's in Syria, right? They're yours, and you can have a lot of settlers over there, Here we have the Golan Heights, which is in Syria. But anyway, there are Iranian military in Syria because Damascus invited them. But Israel sees them as an enemy. So what they're doing is they're shooting from the Golan Heights into Syria on Iraqi or Iranian targets, you know, and they're waging a war against Hezbollah and Hamas in the south of Lebanon, right? Now, on the other side, you have the proxies such as Hezbollah, Hamas, PIJ, which is the Palestinian Islamic Jihad. They're in Damascus, right? That's one of the groups, the proxies we sponsored, we as an international community sponsored to overthrow Assad. But now that group is turning around and turning their attention towards Israel, right? So it's a bee nest, a hive nest, all kinds of activity going on. We have the Houthis in Yemen attacking the Red Sea, right? So it's amazing, man. It really is amazing. And who knows, maybe Yemen will split apart again. It used to be two countries, and then it turned into one country. And now we have a civil war in Yemen, right? And maybe the country's going to split into two again. Who knows? So that's very interesting to see what's happening in Yemen. Ethiopia is also very interesting, right? Because they want a port, they want access to the sea, and no country is willing to give them access to the sea. And Ethiopia said, well, we want access, otherwise it's going to be war, right? So they're still figuring out a deal. They had a deal with Somaliland, right? Here we have Somalia, which was also on that list, right? And they had a deal with Somaliland, that is the English part of Somalia. It's basically divided in two parts, the English part and Italian part, right? And the English part is called Somaliland. Now, they want autonomy from Somalia. They want to be their own independent state. So they had an under table deal. That's what happens when you think Dutch. And the president of Somalia said, nope, we're not going to do that. In Somaliland, you are part of Somalia. You're not going to give away access to the sea, to Ethiopia. Even the president of Somalia went to Egypt, right? We reported on that. And Egypt says, if Ethiopia attacks Somalia, we stand with Somalia. So we have that going on, right? There's so much going on, people. And I think I've said enough for now. So 1 hour and 20 minutes. That's pretty long. I don't see anyone else doing this. I don't see anyone else giving geopolitics, right? So do it yourself. Inform yourself. You know, we also have a situation in Afghanistan, which is still in war, right? Destabilized. The Taliban took over power, and now there's ISIS-K in the area, and there's an offshoot from ISIS who basically want Turkmenistan, Afghanistan, Iran, and parts of Pakistan, right? So that's what they want, and they're also, waging wars, destabilizing the whole region. So that is going on. We also have Iran and Pakistan. They had a small conflict with each other, right? Because of that general Soleimani, there was a procession, and two bombs went off, and a lot of people died, and Iran blamed Pakistan. So they retaliated by throwing some missiles, and Pakistan retaliated back, throwing some missiles to Iran. We're keeping that situation, on the radar, and there's so much to tell. But we'll do that the next time, right? We're going to close off with Ollie the Octopus, of course. And, yeah. There. Let's see if we can give some images of Ollie the Octopus. So now let's play this song here.
Okay. I'm rolling.
Hello, this is Ollie the Octopus.
Hi, here we are outside the US Embassy. I'm about to play my song. It's called They're Going to Get You. We're filming them because they film us. If you don't renew your tax disc, you'll be driving at your own risk. They're going to get you. They're going to get you. They can use their Jedi mind tricks, psychometric biometrics. They're going to get you. They're going to get you. CCTV in your clamshell turning in the grave of Orwell. They're going to get you. They're going to get you. DNA no longer your own because they've mapped out your genome. Be careful what you say when you're on the phone, because they know where you live, them, and when you're on your own. Daddies, watch your daughters, there's Prozac in the water. They're going to get you, they're going to get you. Don't start a revolution, they'll get you with their air pollution. They're going to get you, they're going to get you. Because we think we are paranoid, their forces are still deployed. They're going to get you, they're going to get you. They get your details in the docu, now they know you. They're going to get you. Careful what you say when you're on the phone, because they know where you live. And when you're on your own, 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 on your own. I'm gonna go over here for the last verse.
Nice one.
Good afternoon.
By the way, because I know we're from the police entertainment unit, here to make your day a little bit more exciting. And we've entertained you. Have you not heard of us?
They'll look you up for them, it's not hard, so look your best on your ID card. They're going to get you, they're going to get you. They can make your life live in hell if you even mention Roswell. They're going to get you, they're going to get get you. You can join in if you want. Going to get you. They're going
To get you,
They're going to get you. They're going to get you. They're going to get you.
they're going to get you.
careful what you say when you're on the phone, because they know where you live. When you're on your own, be careful what you say. Be careful when you're on the phone, because they know where you live. They know when you're on your own. Be careful what you say when you're on the phone, because they know where you live. When you're on your own, 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 on your
You are allowed to clap.
Ollie the Octopus, thank you very much for that.
Sorry, just to explain, if I may, the police, you probably don't know about the police department, but it's a group of us, and what we do various things to kind of cheer up the police and get them a bit more connected to us, the ununiformed. And one of the, I'm actually the head of the police hugging department. Yeah, all right. And
No hugs?
you're not up for a hug?
Hugging makes the world
Sir?
a better place. Can we
Sir,
hug
you up
you?
for a hug, sir?
Can we please hug you?
No?
But it's only a nice hug.
It's just a hug.
We're
Go
all
on.
we're all
Are
beautiful
you
and
allowed
unique
to?
snowflakes of Mother Nature and all the rest of it. No? All right.
You work.
You are right, Charlie. We're all beautiful and unique snowflakes of Mother Nature. And history repeats itself. And we're going to close off with, of course, Solzhenitsyn and a very famous quote. He said, if only there were evil people somewhere insidiously committing evil deeds, and it were necessary only to separate them from the rest of us and to destroy them, but the line dividing good and evil cuts through the heart of every human being, and who was willing to destroy a piece of his own heart. Yeah. So, very, very wise words. So, I close off with saying thank you for watching, and we'll see each other next time.